This is something that you kind of run into, and that's when things are backwards. The idea that b minus a, it says, can be written as minus a, or the opposite of a minus b, and what they're saying is this. You can rewrite this guy using the commutative property of our number system is minus a plus b. Then you can factor out a factor of -1. The negative becomes a positive, and the positive becomes a negative. So that b minus a is equivalent to -1 times a minus b. So you can reverse something by factoring out a -1. Well, -1 is always reverse the signs on stuff. So that's essentially what they've done here. 1 over b minus a, they say, is the same as -1 over a minus b, which is with the minus in the denominator. And then I look at that thing and I'm saying, what in the heck are they saying? Right? If I look at 1 over b minus a, it's the same as 1 over minus a plus b. All I did was reverse the two, which is the same as 1 over, factor out a -1. This becomes a minus b. That's how they got to this position right here. They factor the -1 out. Then you say, oh, wait a minute, now they've got that -1 out in front of the fraction bar. This is why. If I look at the number -1, -1 can be written as a -1 divided by a +1. -1 into +1 divided into -1 is -1. It also can be 1 over -1 because a negative divided into a positive is negative. It also can be written as -1 over 1. That says take 1 divided by 1, that's positive, because that's a +1 divided by +1. And then you change the sign on it, makes it -1. It says that minus sign can be in the bottom, it could be in the top, or it could be out in front. Top, bottom, out in front. But there's only one minus sign, and you can move that. And while I'm thinking about it, Paul, start together. So this is how I kind of approach this. I notice that these two guys are going in opposite directions. Here, this is in descending powers, or ascending powers. This is in descending powers. I rewrite everybody going the same direction, with the x's first usually, into descending powers. Now I can factor out the -1 on x, because I makes that x positive and the 2 negative. And what is the denominator? Difference of squares. And now what you notice is that you've got an x minus 2 divided by x minus 2, that forms 1. So this is -1 over x plus 2. Or your book might just say, well, that's the same thing as just put the minus out in front of the fraction bar. So when I look at a problem I'm going to have to simplify, first thing I do is everybody going the same direction? Is everything in descending powers? So I just make sure everything's in descending powers, and I handle it from there. Because that means when I factor, everybody's going to be in the right direction. Rewrite the numerator. He's already in descending powers. Put the denominator in descending powers. Numerator is okay. Now you can factor out a -1 from the denominators because you want to factor. Remember, one of the things we found when we were factoring is that when the leading coefficient was negative, we didn't like it real well, and we would factor it out because it would make our factoring life much nicer. But it changes all of the signs. Now factor. That top one is easy. Now 14, and I need two numbers because the leading coefficient is 1. Two numbers which multiply together give me 14. Since this is a -14, subtracts to give me 5. What are the two numbers? 7 and 2. So it's an x minus 2 and an x plus 7. And notice, here is parenthesis x minus 2, parenthesis x minus 2. So the x minus 2's reduce out. You're left with an x plus 3 and a minus x plus 7. Now, by the way, I'd accept that answer because of where you are right now. But your book would take that and put it in front of this whole thing because these are pluses. My guess is what your book answer would look like. But I'd accept either one.